Despite being one of the biggest franchises in gaming history, Call of Duty has always had a bit of an issue with cheaters and hackers. Can we all agree on that? Seems like no matter how secure the developers claim the game is, there are always going to be people aimbotting, running the experience into the ground for other people. But what Call of Duty games had the biggest problems? Well, we're going to solve that today. We're going to go over the 10 Call of Duty games that were the most hacked. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos. Thank you for all the love you guys show every single day in the comments. And yes, I know, I'm the freak that reads every single comment. So, yeah. So which of these games caused you the most grief? Drop a like and let's go. At number 10, you know where I'm going. Modern Warfare 2019. The game that literally launched with no anti-cheat despite having crossplay between console and PC. I don't know what Infinity Ward was expecting here. I mean, Modern Warfare 2019 was the most popular Call of Duty game in a long time when it launched. We were hyped, and it was also a massive step forward for reviving COD on PC. But if you're going to push a game really heavily on the PC, well, you need to be sure that you have competent anti-cheat software in play. And look, I'm not saying all PC gamers are cheaters. Not at all. PC gamers hate cheaters just as much as console players do, but also cheating on PC, it's way easier than cheating on console. And if you're going to push a PC shooter as hard as Modern Warfare 2019 was being pushed, you need anti-cheat in play. But Infinity Ward decided to not have any kind of anti-cheat in the PC version of the game, which resulted in a lot of issues. You had aimbotters, you had wall hackers, and there was even some deeper security issues discovered at one point, although I think most of those were patched up. But anyway, it was a hacked game, my friend. Have you ever thought you could predict the future? Well, now's your chance. Today's video is powered by Kalshi.com, the only place to trade on events legally in all 50 states, and you can use the market to understand what's going on in the world. Let me give you an example. James Bond. It's a huge IP, and everybody wants to know who's going to be the next James Bond. It's as important of a casting as there's ever been in a movie franchise. Well, on Kalshi, we can predict and trade on who's going to be the next James Bond. We have Callum Turner, we have Jacob Elordi, and we have Aaron Taylor Johnson, the three in the front running spots. So to me, I'm going to go with the trends. I'm going to go with Callum Turner is going to be the next James Bond. It doesn't stop there. You could trade on whether or not Sadie Sink is going to be the next Jean Grey in Spider-Man. You can trade on whether or not Avengers Doomsday will be delayed or not. Or if you're really peering into the future, you could trade on whether or not GTA 6 will release before 2027. We could take it further. Will we get the next GTA trailer before May 27th? Well, you can trade on it if you think you know. Click our link in the description to check out the James Bond actor market and all of these markets yourself and get $10 when you trade $10. Any Elder Scrolls 6 or Fallout 5 fans out there? I've been using the platform, and let's just say I've got my eyes on both of these. Again, guys, use our link in the description to trade on any of these markets, and it's the pinned comment. If there's a market out there, it's probably on Kalshi, and get $10 when you trade $10. At number 9. Call of Duty Ghost, the 7th gen version. Now, Ghost was the first COD game to drop on both the 7th gen and the 8th gen consoles. In the 8th gen version, I would say it was pretty clean, mainly due to the fact that nobody had figured out how to hack the Xbox One or PS4 yet. But as for the 360 and PS3 versions, whew, this game was a playground. It was a hot mess. People were aimbotting. People were somehow spawning in with every perk in the game. People were giving themselves infinite flashbangs, which was a weird one, but I remember seeing it every now and again. And on the 360 version of the game, it was definitely not helping the game's already rocky reputation with the community during the release window. Now, it wasn't nearly as bad as some of the other games from the 360 era, obviously, since it's at number 9 today, but still pretty rough. And you would think that this would have been a wake-up call for the developers. But no, my friends. At number 8, Advanced Warfare 7th gen version. Are you seeing the pattern here? If you're playing the 360 version of AW during the first few weeks, you probably remember the epidemic of mod menus, and the reason behind this is actually kind of funny when you look back. According to all the modders, the 7th gen version of Advanced Warfare was using the exact same security system as Ghost. Like, it was literally just copy-pasted, meaning all your Ghost hacks and mods would work on Advanced Warfare on day one, and boy, oh boy, were people modding on day one. I remember seeing videos of people literally hitting Prestige Master within hours of the game launching because they were hacking for it. I mean, if I remember correctly, AW was cleaned up relatively quickly, and a pretty big portion of the community was playing on PS4 and Xbox One at that point anyway, but if you were on the 7th gen version of the game during the first month, it was a battleground. You remember the cheating. At number 7, Modern Warfare 3 2011. How many times did you encounter invisible players in this game? How many times did you load into a game and then see the pre-game countdown freeze for a few seconds because there was a mod menu in play? Modern Warfare 3 wasn't nearly as bad as its older brother, which we'll talk about later in the video, but it was not a clean experience by any measure. Because of how rushed Modern Warfare 3 was during development, there was a few oversights. And even though out-of-map glitches aren't hacks, those are definitely all over the place, on top of all the actual haps, like the extremely popular invisibility hacks, as well as the typical aimbots and wall hacks. Jailbreaking the 360 and PS3 was at peak popularity at this point. So you saw quite a lot of that on the battlefield, which was a shame, because the game was so good. I mean, when everybody was playing fair. At number 6, Black Ops 6. I mean, Black Ops 6 was released well after the launch of the Ricochet anti-cheat system, which made it kind of weird that there was such a big hacking problem. Now, in pubs, you didn't see cheaters very often, but when you went over to rank play, you were probably going to see a hacker every other match, and it got to the point that entire portions of the rank play leaderboards, well, they were reserved for hackers, and for some reason, nobody was doing anything about it. I mean, I don't know if there was an issue with the game being on Game Pass, so that gave hackers easier access to it, or maybe there was something else going on, but all the PC versions of Black Ops 6 were a hacker's paradise, and almost all of them were in ranked play playlists. So, I don't know, made the cheating even more egregious. It's not even like they were cheating in pubs. They were cheating in ranked play, where all their stats were publicly tracked, so everybody knew they were cheating, and yet nobody was doing anything about it. Now we arrive at the top 5. COD World War II, the PC version. You probably heard about this one because it was recent. COD World War II is making headlines for being one of the first pre-Warzone COD games to make its way onto Xbox Game Pass, and the fact that it was coming to PC Game Pass as well, people were excited. There was a lot more PC players now than there were back in 2017 when COD World War II launched, and a lot of people have been waiting patiently for a more old-school kind of COD experience. Yeah, tons and tons of PC players downloaded COD World War II on Game Pass when it hit, and then they were immediately shocked by the amount of hacking going on. When I say hacking, I mean that in a much more serious way than most of the other games on this list. Not only was COD World War II completely lacking a proper anti-cheat software, but there was also some insane security issues on the PC Game Pass version of the game that literally gave hackers remote access to your computer. I'm not kidding. They could take remote access to your computer and do whatever they wanted, which led to some absolutely wild clips of people playing COD World War II, and all of a sudden, their computer shuts down. Or maybe they're playing the game and all of a sudden their notepad app would pop up on a screen and a hacker would start talking to them on the notepad. COD World War II was completely removed from PC Game Pass while Microsoft tried to figure out what was going on, but it was later revealed to be due to the fact that Microsoft put the game on Game Pass. Well, they used an older, incomplete version of the game instead of a later, more secure version. Huh. Crazy. At number 4, World at War. This one's sad. It's a sad case because it's one of the best COD multiplayers of all time, but it's also one of the first ones to be declared unplayable by the community because of the sheer amount of hackers. People under the map. People flying around like Superman. People using semi-auto weapons and full auto somehow. People just doing old-fashioned aimbotting and wall hacking. You name it, it's here. And then you had the mod menus, which have been in several Call of Duty games, but World at War was the first time they were so widespread and rampant. And yeah, some mod menus were fun because they would just make some game crazy and unpredictable. Others would be straight up breaking the game and ruining whatever you were working on at the time. COD 4 and World at War were extremely similar games from a back-end standpoint. So maybe all the COD 4 hackers were able to figure out the World at War security more thoroughly, because basically anyone who was playing COD back in the late 2000s, they'll tell you World at War was way more hacked than COD 4, despite them running a virtually identical framework. I don't really know what the deal here was, but World at War definitely needed to be on today's list, and it really, really is sad to me. At number 3, Warzone 2020 to 2021. Man, this was a weird time. Everybody was online because of the pandemic, and the PC gaming scene was huge, and yet Activision thought it would be a good idea to release a free battle royale with literally zero anti-cheat. All the bans were done by manual review in the game. This game didn't have a replay system. So yeah, Warzone 2020, it was a hacker's paradise. Do you guys remember when the first 10 to 20 players on the global leaderboards were obvious hackers and they didn't get banned? Do you guys remember just how frequently you'd run into people aimbotting from across the map? Do you guys remember just how many times your voice chat would get spammed with voice-to-text advertisements by somebody blatantly cheating? It got to the point where it seemed like the only way for a hacker to get banned in the game was if they killed a big streamer who then personally sent the clip to Activision. And to my understanding, the hacking problems in Warzone are still pretty bad, but they're not nearly as ridiculous as they were during the original 2020 to 2021 era. This was freaking insane as a time to play Warzone. At number 2, Modern Warfare 2 2009, perhaps the most infamously broken game in the franchise history. Ton of exploits, glitches everywhere built into the game, but there was also a whole bunch of security issues that the hackers took full advantage of, which made this one of the most ridiculous COD launches of all time, and it took a lot of emergency patches to make it functional. The game ship broke. The whole thing was broke. A bunch of things about the game were broken, and then you had the hackers adding things in there. Infinite XP lobbies, game-breaking lobbies, master prestige lobbies. You had the introduction of people figuring out how to hit other players offline. All the craziness that you know from COD kicked off here. Frankly, some of you probably would have put this game up at number 1 because of the broken nature, right? Memorable experience, right? I considered it. But I think there was one other COD game that had an even bigger hacker problem than classic Modern Warfare 2, if you can believe that. At number 1, Black Ops 2. Modern Warfare 2 may have been known for its busted launch and abundance of cheaters, but Black Ops 2, in my opinion at least, is really where the COD cheating problem hit critical mass. I mean, this is a game you can still boot up on the 360 or PS3, and you can still run into people hosting modded lobbies or flying around the map or doing random stuff that makes no sense, which is crazy that there's people taking time dedicating to that. Are you kidding? I mean, if your game had such a massive cheating problem that people are cheating 14 years later, I think that's indicative of a pretty major problem, right? Black Ops 2 had every possible hack you could imagine. I'm confused as to how this game in particular got so hacked up because, yeah, there was always a cheating problem during the golden age of COD. Something about Black Ops 2 made it so much worse than all the others. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but if you played Black Ops 2 on the 360 or PS3 at any point in your life, you're with me here. Modern Warfare 2 may have been more infamous for its hackers. Black Ops 2 had a much bigger hacker presence in the multiplayer, so it gets the top spot. But then I go back to Modern Warfare 2, the infinite, what was it? The airdrop, emergency airdrop, where you look up and there'd be 1,000 AC-130s and your game would freeze. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you soon.